Meeting to order, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So for announcements tonight, we have early voting will take place this week at the Municipal Center Gymnasium on November 2nd, 3rd, and 4th from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. The Bylaw Study Committee is hosting a public forum on Wednesday, November 9th at 7 p.m. to hear your comments, suggestions, and recommendations for updates to the Town of Grafton general bylaws. Those interested can participate here in Conference Room A or remotely via Zoom. The Zoom link can be found in the announcements posted on the town website and in the meeting agenda. Those unable to attend may submit their comments and suggestions in person at the Bylaw Study Committee meeting by email via the link on the committee's webpage or by mail to the Town Administrator's Office at 30 Providence Road, Grafton, Mass. 01519. The Grafton Upton Railroad is holding a community outreach meeting on Thursday, November 10th at 7 p.m. We're just waiting to confirm a location, and that information will be posted as soon as it's available. The Grafton Recreation Amazing Turkey Challenge is Saturday, November 12th. Get your team together and meet at the Town Common at 10 a.m. to receive your map with clues to different locations around Grafton. Participation is free with a donation of a canned good to benefit the Grafton Food Bank. We will be passing over the public hearing this evening and moving right into appointments. First up is the Veteran Advisory Committee, William Harris. Hello, would you like to come to the podium and tell us about yourself? Oh, wherever you're comfortable.
Good evening. My name is William Harris, retired Army, 28 years, retired as a first sergeant. Did several deployments to Iraq, was up on the fence line when it came down in '89 up in Germany, and served my country proudly. I work with the VFW in Westboro. I work with the Legion in Westboro, and do also a little bit of work with the VA, getting our veterans their paperwork so they can go ahead and file for their disabilities. I myself am 100% disabled, injured in a tank over in Iraq. So I'm here to be part of the Veterans Advisory Board so I can make sure that the VFW and the Legion and the veterans of this town are properly represented, especially for the service that they did regardless of time for our country.
Thank you, and thank you for your service.
Yes, ma'am.
Does anybody have any questions or comments?
No, not at all.
All right.
Nope. Excited to have you on board.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank
your
you, sir.
service.
Thank you, sir.
All right, I can take a motion.
I move the board vote to appoint William Harris to the Veterans Advisory Committee.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried. Congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for coming in.
Thank you.
Sir. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Up next are some election workers.
I move the board vote to appoint Mary Ann Breyer, Augustus Adams, and Mohammed Amjad Choudhury as election workers for the town of Grafton.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried. And we have a couple of appointments for the Tufts University Institutional Biosafety Committee. Up first is Alyssa Eardy. I see her on Zoom. I apologize if I
Hello, how are you?
pronounced your last name correctly. Good, how are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us.
Good, thank you. Thank you. My name is Alyssa Reddy. I currently serve as the Chief of the Office of Health and Medical Preparedness for the City of Worcester's Division of Public Health, which of course is also the host for the Central Mass Regional Public Health Alliance, which Grafton is a part of. I have been serving in the alternate role for the ex officio for Tufts for a number of years now, and this appointment would just move me into the permanent role for that. And I also serve on GMA. So it's a good marriage of the two because there certainly is some overlap between the two organizations.
Very nice. Does the board have any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Well, thank you for volunteering, and I can take a motion.
I move the board vote to appoint Alyssa Uride as the ex officio non-voting primary member of the Tufts University Institutional Biosafety Committee.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried. Congratulations. Up next is Brendan Keenan. Hello, Brendan.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Brendan Keenan. I'm Chief of Community Health for the Worcester Division of Public Health. In this role, I would be taking the spot that Alyssa had as the alternate for Tufts.
Excellent.
Very nice. Any questions for Mr. Keenan? Hearing none, I can take a motion.
I move the board vote to appoint Brendan Keenan as the alternate ex officio non-voting member of the Tufts University Institutional Biosafety Committee.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried. Congratulations. And next we have Harvey Kimsey. We do not see online or in person. So we can pass over that for a little bit and see if he shows up and we can circle back. We have some fire chief appointments tonight. If Mr. Kenoria would like to come up and Deputy Chief. Yep, I didn't want to screw that up, so you got to skip.
So thanks for having us tonight. I'll start by saying Rob Remillard was also supposed to be here, but he has a conflict and couldn't make the meeting. So start with Jamie, who's been appointed lieutenant for Station 1. He's got 16 years on the department, well-liked, good leader, perfect for the position, so I look forward to you guys affirming that position. And Mark, who's been Station 3 for 18 years, 19 years, something like that. Same thing, he follows actually in his father's footsteps, who recently retired from Station 3 as a lieutenant after, how many years did your dad have?
42.
42. Yeah, so. Same thing, excellent firefighter, well-trained, well-liked, so good additions to the officer corps of the department.
Very nice. And is Alex?
Alex Dion is not here.
Okay.
So he's gonna be
He's
appointed,
Auxiliary, so the auxiliaries don't usually
Oh, there you
come
go.
in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
so Alex's brother actually is on with us, and you guys recently appointed him a dispatcher for the police department, his older brother,
Oh, nice.
so.
Perfect. All right. Does the board have any questions or comments?
No, it's a lot of years of service from both of you guys, so thanks so much. It's really much appreciated, and congratulations.
You both barely look old enough to have that much time on the job.
Agreed.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move to appoint Lieutenant Robert Remillard, interim captain of Station 3.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move to appoint Mark Beauregard, interim lieutenant of Station 3, and my nephew.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move to appoint firefighter James O'Brien, lieutenant of Station 1.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move to appoint auxiliary firefighter for Station 1, Alex Dion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried. Thank you guys so much for coming in tonight.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I have to stay.
Yes.
We'll move that right up to here, so you don't have to go.
So we're gonna take new business F out of order, so Mr. Kenoria can tell us a little bit about it.
You gonna change your shirt, or
No,
just do it down there?
So 106 Millbury Street, there was I don't know if you guys know where that is, it's the section of Crosby Road and Millbury Street is kind of a peninsula of, it's two streets. Wanda, who's on the Zoom part of the meeting, is developing that into a buildable house lot. So there was drainage from Crosby Road that's traversed that piece of property since the dinosaurs roamed Grafton, I guess. Anyway, so as part of his permitting process, and in order to build the house and make it, much nicer piece of property, he's going to install piping where it was just an overland flow. So it was catch basin on Crosby, catch basin on Millbury. So he's installing pipe. We went back and forth between planning, conservation, Ginny to get the easement documents done, and Wendell put it all together, and this is the outcome. So it's agreeable. The location of the pipe, the easement language is all agreeable to all of us. So
Perfect. All right, does the board have any questions or comments?
Is there any cost to the town or?
no,
Okay.
no.
Well, hearing none, I can take a motion.
I move the board vote to approve and sign the grant of drainage easement for Lot B, 106 Millbury Street.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried. Congratulations and
Excellent.
thank you for sticking around.
Thanks.
Happy to be here.
Thanks, Paul.
If you're around.
All right,
Why didn't we believe that, Paul?
up next is a one-day beer and wine license for the Willard House and Clock Museum. I don't know, is anybody on Zoom with their hand raised for that, for the Willard?
That was Miss Snow put in the application.
Yes, I believe Beverly.
I'm here. Oh,
Yep.
wait.
Hey, Beverly. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm here.
Hi. Welcome.
Hi.
So tell us a little bit about your event.
We are having an event celebrating our 50th anniversary at the Grafton Public Library because we decided it's a great new venue. It's good to incorporate other institutions in town. And it's going to be on November 14th from 7 to 9 o'clock.
Nice, 50 years. Time flies.
I know.
All right, does
Hey,
anybody
leave
have
the
any,
comedy to me, will you please?
does anybody have any questions or comments for Ms. Snow? Hearing none, I can take a motion.
Sure. I move the board vote to approve a one-day beer and wine license for the Willard Clock House and Museum for November 14th, 2022.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried. Congratulations, and I hope you have a successful event.
Thank you very much.
Up next is a one-day beer and wine license for the Veterans of Foreign Wars. And I don't know if we have anybody here for that.
I don't think so. I do not believe so.
They don't usually
Okay.
attend.
All right, so if the board's comfortable, I can take a motion to approve that, unless we have any questions or comments about this application.
I had a couple questions.
Okay.
Did we resolve the proof of insurance?
Yep, so that has always been carried by the VFW and approved in this manner.
Okay, thank you. The other one was, I looked it up on the tip certificate. It said it was granted 10/26/19. They're usually good for 3 years, which would mean, according to what we were provided, it recently expired.
Oh, yeah.
Good catch.
So if you could vote that contingent upon us receiving the updated tips information, we can certainly hold that until we get it.
Okay. So if you want to craft
Sure.
the motion,
I move the board vote to approve the one-day beer and wine license for the Veteran of Foreign Wars, Inc. For November 13, 2022, with the provision that updated tips certification is provided.
Second.
motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried. And will you guys reach out to them asking for it? Great.
Yes.
And then the last is the one-day beer and wine license for the Community Harvest Project. Hi, Sandy. Oh, you're on mute.
Found it. There we go. Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about your event.
Well, it's our 20-year anniversary this year, and we have done this every year except for COVID. And we are starting with a 5K. We have music, we have food, we have a hayride, we have beer and wine.
Very nice. Does the board have any questions or comments?
Congratulations on 20 years.
Thank you.
Big milestone.
It is. It's fun. It's good company.
Yep.
Very All right, I can take a motion.
I move the board vote to approve a one-day beer and wine license and music entertainment license for the Community Harvest Project, Inc. for November 6, 2022.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried. Congratulations, and I hope you have a fun event.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
We will be passing over the traffic safety and committee recommendations. That'll come back next week. And we have an update from the ambulance committee with Mr. Mead.
Yeah, so the ambulance committee met 2 weeks ago and to discuss some things that have come up recently with the ambulance. One of the, and I just want to give a little history on MedStar Ambulance. They're based out of Worcester. They do our ALS. We have an ambulance in Grafton, 24 hours a day. There's one in Millbury. There's one in Sutton. We do a tri-town agreement. So in other words, Grafton ambulance goes out on a call. Millbury ambulance comes in to cover. Sutton moves over, and then normally an ambulance would come out of Worcester to again do tri-town coverage and things like that. So prior to COVID, MedStar had 450 employees. They currently have 240. So the trucks are still in Worcester in the garage and still, staffed as much as they can. But we have run into issues where we'll have 3 calls in Grafton. There'll be 2 calls in Millbury and 1 in Sutton, to the point where MedStar cannot provide an ambulance for us. So at that point, we rely on mutual aid ambulances. So Northbridge, Upton, Westboro. We used to get mutual aid a long time ago from Worcester EMS, but Worcester EMS is in the same situation. So all of the towns actually all of the towns in Massachusetts are running into this issue of there's a lack of employees working on the ambulances, whether they're EMTs or paramedics or whatever. So what the ambulance committee discussed was that at any time from now on, if there's going to be a delay in the ambulance responding, any ambulance responding, we will now send out an engine company from the fire department who have EMTs on the trucks and go bags and oxygen and everything else that they need and defibrillators to respond to the call along with the police department. So we're trying to do a little backup thing. There was actually a thing on the news tonight about Brewster Ambulance. They have the same issue, and Brewster is down in the Boston area. They have the same issue, and they're trying to hire people. So what they've done, and I know MedStar has done the exact same thing, is they have raised the money that paramedics and EMTs are going to make now to try to attract, and it's starting to come back. So I would hope that in a year or a year and a half, we'll be back up to, our fully backed up ambulances, 26 of them in Worcester. And, we've had as many as 7 and 8 ambulances in town at one time. So they're a great company. They do a great job. They hit all of their marks. They as far as their response times, there's no issues. But we just wanted to add this little backup to our ambulance system.
Can I ask a question about
Yep.
the backup? Once the engine's deployed, an ambulance is still en route.
Oh, yes.
It's because,
Oh, yeah, no. The ambulance is always en route.
okay,
It's just that we can have an engine on scene in five minutes.
right.
So,
But you couldn't transport a patient, so that's
no,
why I
they
wanted to
couldn't
make sure.
transport a patient, but they can stabilize, they can do CPR, they can do pretty much everything.
Okay.
So, and the chief is in favor of this, and Paul, and, we had this meeting and discussed it, and absolutely 100% in favor of it. And it's just to help out.
Yep.
Now, the fire department has always responded to ambulance calls when they are called by the ambulance. So lift assist, CPR, driving the ambulance, things like that. It's just automatic. So if it's gonna be a delay, fire department's gonna show up. And so we're trying to be a little proactive on some of this stuff, but, MedStar is still a great ambulance company that provides great service, and, you know, we're proud to have them.
So Ray, just a quick question on I know that we've got the equipment on the trucks, and we have quite a few AMTs that are certified and whatnot. Is
Yep.
there any change in terms of training requirements or things that we should consider to kind of bolster the EMT certifications in the department?
Well, all the department members are first responders.
Yep.
So they have to take classes every year to certify being first responders. EMTs on the department receive additional training to keep up their licenses.
Yeah, I guess my question is, do we want to beef the EMT training up?
That's something that we didn't discuss, but that would be totally up to Eric.
Okay.
And I'm sure that he wouldn't have a problem with that. Keeping in mind that MedStar provides all our training.
Sure.
So they do that also. So they train police, fire, and anybody else who's in emergency services. So
So are they short-staffed in training right now too?
no,
Okay.
no. There's no issue on training.
Okay.
It's just boots on the ground is what it is.
Sure.
You go from 450 to 240. During COVID, that's huge.
Yep.
All the trucks are still there, but and they're doing their best to to get them back.
So would you recommend we just send a quick communication over to Chief Matthew to consider that?
Yeah, we could do that. Sure.
Yeah, I want to make sure that we have as much skill set with those boots on the ground as possible.
Yep.
And we also want to be making sure that we're putting our department members and firefighters in the best position possible.
Yep. And keep in mind, we have not had any issues.
Sure.
So
Yep.
we haven't had any issues.
Right.
We're trying to be proactive instead of reactive on
This is great.
on this situation. So
I have a question, Ray. So how is the determination made in terms of the delay? Is that the ambulance service that's calling?
Dispatch is in direct communication with MedStar Command.
So MedStar would say we might have a slight delay.
So they would call and they would say, they'd call, our ambulance is out, and the dispatch would call for backup ambulance. MedStar dispatch would say, we don't have one available. But we will get you Upton, Westboro, Northbridge,
Okay.
whatever it is. At that point, the engine company goes out.
Okay, so MedStar is kind of identifying we have to go to a backup.
MedStar actually calls for the
To the
mutual aid. We don't even do that.
Okay,
So they call that automatically. So they do have quite a system. I've been in their place, and it's quite a place.
Okay.
So they do a great job. And that was it.
So, Madam Chair, are you happy to just send a quick note over to
Yep.
Chief Matthew?
He's gonna come back in and review his 90-day plan with us too. So that's another opportunity to talk about it when
Sounds
that
good.
comes in.
We can save it to them. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yep.
All right.
I would maybe still send them.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna
Okay.
still send him. Yeah.
Just so you
So
have
he's
heads up.
prepared
Yeah.
for it.
Yep.
Don't wanna surprise him on that. All right. We have already done F, so now we're gonna go into the department head exit interviews, and this is something everyone wants to just kind of introduce to the board to see if it's something we want to pursue further.
Yeah, so I have a tool when a department head leaves that I like to use to solicit feedback about their experience while they're working for the town. It's one I've refined over many years, and I think it's a good tool. I actually can't find the Word version of it. I only have PDFs where people give their feedback, so I don't want to put that on the screen. I have a little trouble sourcing that. I don't know if I made the whole thing into a PDF or what I did. But we'll fix that, or will help me figure out how to do that. In the meantime, what I really wanted to talk to you folks about is I think that it would be beneficial to have someone other than me doing the exit interview. The problem in Grafton is that everyone else works for me. So that doesn't really solve the problem, in my mind. So what I was going to suggest is that you would either designate a member of the select board or Just make it always the chair of the select board who would conduct an exit interview with a department head level staff when they depart to solicit feedback about their experience working for the organization, why they left, and, if there was any potential to have them stay, what that would be. 'Cause I don't think that they're necessarily gonna give me direct feedback if there's a problem in the organization, because it's just an awkward conversation to have sitting across the table from me. So really what it is a tool for all of us, but for me to get to then assess what we're doing and make changes as need be. So I didn't know what everyone thought of that.
Any questions or comments?
I think it's a good idea to have a member of the board. Sure, absolutely.
Why wouldn't we have like an HR rep do that?
Well, the HR rep works for me, and so that's what I'm trying to avoid. So in other communities, the town administrator or town manager has different power and doesn't necessarily have everybody fall under them. But in Grafton, it's pretty much you folks, me, and then everybody else. So we can have HR do it, absolutely. I also thought it would be a good tool for the board to be kind of inculcated into the system of understanding what's happening in the organization based on prior conversations that we've had about what's happening in the organization and what the board knows and doesn't know. Thought it might be a good way to elicit that information. I'm happy to keep it where it is, and right now it would reside with Krista Merritt, who's our human resource person. And we could keep doing that too. I just didn't know if it was something that the board was interested in.
Is it something that we could give the department head an option where, they were happy here, it's nothing personal, so keep it easy with HR, but it's, I actually would like to talk to your boss because you were the reason.
Yeah, I really try to push them to do it, whether they want to or not. It's not like they're gonna leave any faster.
Right.
Make them do a paper, but no, the idea is we, good, bad, or indifferent, we want the feedback so that we know what in quasi real time what's happening in the organization. And one of the best ways to collect that, in my opinion, is when folks are transitioning out of the organization, because they now no longer have the same risk factor in telling you what's actually happening, right? So someone could absolutely, I've had people decline, say, no, I'm good, and that is what it is. But I think there are people that have had a great experience that are going to tell us, I had a great experience and all this stuff was good, and those usually, in my experience, are where you find the little nuggets of things that you can tweak, because everything is good. They're not just throwing stuff out to try to torpedo anybody. But then they say this could be better. That's probably where you need to focus, because they were happy, and maybe they still are happy, and they're just growing or doing whatever, and that's good too. But those little things, maybe you could look at this. Generally, in my experience, has been that's a point that we can make a tweak. Whereas folks that leave and have a negative experience, it's harder to sift through. Depending on the reason for departure.
I think it's a great idea. I think it should be consistent, like not HR for one person and a select board member for the other person. Yeah. And I would see the benefit of potentially a select board member or someone else outside of under your umbrella, because often the person might be looking at some point in the future to use that HR person as a reference, and so they don't want to go out on a note of, oh, this is what I hated about your town. So kind of keeping it separate in terms of their relationships in the future, because working for towns, it's a small world, no doubt, at some point. So this would be a little more a step removed, right? I'm never going to be their boss, most likely. Right. So I like the idea of it.
That was kind of the thought process.
So do we need a policy outlining this?
We could probably put something together that's real basic. I would like to start by using my form, if we could, and then see how that works and then refine it. I've like I said, I've tweaked it over the years, and I think it elicits what I would want to know as a leader. So that would be great.
Okay.
I agree with Anne Marie that whatever we do, it should be consistent rather than, kind of segregating that audience right off the bat. I think it defeats the purpose of having that independent person as part of the mix.
And it's only department heads well, there's no hire, so just department heads. The rest will go through the regular process through our HR system.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Okay, so you guys will just come back with a policy when you're ready for us to review, and we'll start doing that.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, select board reports.
Madam Chair, I met with Sean Paget. Had a great meeting with Sean. Set up a meeting with Apple Tree Arts, but it was town meeting night because I totally forgot what night it was, and still trying to set up another meeting with them. So that's moving forward.
Very nice. All right,
I have a couple.
go for it.
Waste reduction and recycling met on the 19th. Kevin Gallagher gave us some baseline billing averages for some of our hauling. We discussed building a social media calendar and getting some posts on the town social feeds, to give good recycling habits and tips. Possibly assembling some good recycling habits flyer that could be distributed at the Frosty stops during Grafton Celebrates the Holidays, so people know how to get rid of some of the packaging that they may have just purchased. And we've invited Evan to attend our next meeting and discuss the Harvey contract. The Library Building and Planning Committee also met this past Wednesday to discuss a couple invoices that needed paying before the end of October. With the finalization of those invoices, we should be wrapping up our contract with CTA, the main construction manager. So beyond that, the town will begin sourcing and overseeing any additional remaining issues that we may have with the library. Beyond that, I also wanted to thank the Grafton Lions Club for their annual haunted hayride. It was, they drew large crowds again this year from both Grafton and the surrounding towns. Also a huge thank you to the Boys and Girl Scout troops for their time, effort, and creativity that they put into their scenes. It was a lot of work building the sets, and then they spent 2 nights performing over and over for all the crowds that came through, and then helped break down and do cleanup. And also a huge thank you to Job Corps. They provided the food for all the scouts and the volunteers both nights. It was delicious. They also dressed up and helped scare people. Just a great local collaboration. I think, the type of event that everybody likes to see. So thank you to all those involved.
Very nice. I know several members attended the League of Women Voters event last week about civil discourse, and that was well attended and informative, so that was nice. And I think they're going to be trying to put on more events in the future, so we'll let you guys know if they do. Anybody else? All right, so we'll go on to town administrator report.
Oh, actually, sorry. We had an open space and rec meeting. I think it was on the 18th. There's nothing really new to report. We're still working on a charge for Trails Committee, starting to look more at the open space end of it. And then we're also going to be making sure that we circle back with all the departments that had tasks relative to the actual document. And our next meeting is November 16th. And I guess I'll just do a quick shout out to Quite Fetching on the Common. This Saturday, they hosted an event on the Common for dogs and humans. And they just do such a great job up there. And it just was a great little event for our town. They brought in a lot of vendors, like the Worcester Animal Rescue League, vendors from all over Central Mass, doing various things. Additionally, at the same time, the library was having their, it wasn't a health and wellness, but it was something along those lines, a wellness.
I think they just call it a wellness fair.
Wellness fair. So just really a nice weekend up at the Common. But I will just want to specifically mention the folks that own Quite Fetching. She's just done a stellar job with keeping that going, and she's so creative and brought a ton of people into our town on Saturday from elsewhere. So just a shout out. And Halloween on South Street was very well attended. 1,000 plus.
I think Quite Fetching just celebrated an anniversary here too.
5, I believe they're 5 years. Yeah, they started at the Grafton Inn, and then they moved over to that spot. So yeah, she's doing a great job.
Very nice. All right, town administrator report.
So the report for this week, we had, and I'll mention this later on too. We did have trick or treating here for kids under 5. It was pretty well attended. I think we probably had somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 kids come through. Down, I guess, from pre-pandemic levels, but hoping to get a resurgence of that going forward. So those are all the staff that worked that day for the event, and went pretty well.
Gotta increase the age, I think. You'd see
Think
more
so?
people, yeah.
I don't love your font choice here, but it's a great picture.
You know,
Who was the
don't-
beekeeper? So I wanted to know.
that is Tom from our
Building?
nope, he is in our treasure collector's office, and next to him is a bee. That is Christine, who's also in our treasure collector's
that's
office.
cute. Okay.
Yep, the two scary guys on the left were from our accounting department, and I thought they were terrifying. But Tom Callahan, who's on the far left in the front, had the most picture requests. People kept asking if they could take pictures with him.
I don't think it's a matter of the most. I think he was the only.
I was going to
picture
say the
request.
most, so no one else felt bad about themselves. Well,
Yeah.
okay, moving on. So we're getting into our fiscal 24 budget. We have a capital planning CIPC meeting tomorrow night, and we're going to be talking about kind of the first round of what we've gotten for what we have for requests, what the capital plan looks like, and then kind of some scenarios. We do have on hand our capital stabilization fund is right around 2.8 million. Our free cash is about 1.8 million, and our municipal stabilization is up to about 4.8 million. And then today Mary and I met with Jay and Anita from the school department and had our really initial meeting of must-haves, nice-to-haves, and then also what are our expectations for each side of the budget when it comes to specifically pretty much stayed on the capital side today. But just so that, again, trying to foster that continual working relationship of this is where we hope to be, what can we, so that we all have a very transparent conversation about what that looks like. And so far, the capital budget looks like it's going to be in pretty healthy shape, and we'll be able to get some things accomplished this year. As far as the budget in general goes, we are finalizing our new charts and mapping. The school is also finalizing their new charts and mapping. We're at similar timelines, so we hoped to be doing budget kickoff November 1st. Neither of us are done with that process. That's not really our process. It's more of a ClearGov behind the scenes, tying out old account numbers to new account numbers since we had the conversion. So we're making progress. It's not going to delay us too much, but it is a little bit off of where we wanted to be when we wanted to start November 1.
Is there any coordination that needs to happen with, like the Affordable Housing Trust, CPC, any of the groups that have accounts with balances and expenses and all that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
All of that's already moved. That's all already. The account numbers have changed. Everything's been reconfigured. Now we're using ClearGov to map the old number to the new number, so that when you look at our online budgeting platform, it makes sense and ties out to the year previous. Otherwise, it'll work just fine, but it's disjointed. It doesn't talk back to what we had in years past.
But if the account numbers are changing, your chart of accounts changing, doesn't, like, I'm just thinking about the CPC treasurer or, housing trust treasurer, those accounts are going to change or have changed, it sounds like.
Right.
Does that need to be communicated?
I believe it was
Okay.
from the accounting office. I haven't heard otherwise that it hadn't been. So she had put out.
I just haven't seen it. So
Okay.
I'm the treasurer for the housing. I haven't seen anything, so
Okay.
it's entirely possible. So I don't want to throw anybody
Nope.
under the bus.
Let me look at that because we
that
had.
could have come out. I also just I had a discussion with one of former member of CPC over the weekend, and was mentioning this as well. And he had some questions. I don't think it was communicated to CPC either,
Okay.
to my knowledge.
Let me follow up.
So.
I was under the impression that had already happened.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So we're still on track. Mid-December would be our initial presentation to FinCom of our entry-level budget, let's call it. January is where we really start to refine it. And then February through May is when we're doing all the tweaks based on our building revenue. So our revenue is going to change 1,000 times between February and May, and it's our jobs at that point to just kind of shepherd it through as those numbers move up and down. We just finished the tax rate recap, and so we're pretty tight on where we think we're going to be. I think we're in pretty good shape. So tying out this is not on here, but tying out the recap, we did wind up with a levy capacity surplus of $1 million, about $1,055,000, which, if you recall from the last budget process, is exactly where we said we would end up. So happy to see that we were able to hold that number with, again, changes in revenue that happen after you've already closed your budget round. So worked out well. DE&I, we are just awaiting getting everyone's schedules together to get that to kick off. So that's us, schools, and the vendor. Westboro Water Main, I don't have an update. We're working through some nuance of the federal procurement law before we release those funds. Because it's federal dollars, it has other stipulations tied to it, and we're just making sure that our process is what the process needs to be. But that won't be too much longer. I added a bullet point on here, staff appreciation. Try to go back. We were doing this before and it kind of fell by the wayside, but just recognizing staff at each meeting. So along those lines, I wanted to mention all the municipal center staff because the Halloween event that we were just looking at the picture of, it went really well. Everybody was participating and decorated their doors, and every department had themed costumes, and I mean, it's fun stuff, but not everywhere you go would we have that level of participation. I mean, it was really great. We decorated the hallways were all cobwebbed and and stuff, and it was fun. But I do appreciate all of our staff putting effort into it and doing things after work, and the maintenance guys had done the what is it called, the Great Pumpkin.
Charlie Brown.
They made their own cutout of cardboard and painted it, and I mean, they just it's cool stuff. It's
Cool. That's awesome.
it's all above and beyond stuff, and I think that the parents that I spoke to on the way through were really, really grateful that we were doing it again, and I talked to so many people that said, I've never been in this building before, or now when I come to this building I won't be so nervous. Why? Because I'm a giant burrito. It takes the edge off, I guess. So no, it was great, and I think that's really indicative of having a good core staff of everybody, and the senior center. Sorry, I say municipal center, and some people don't think of the senior center. I think it's all one building, but senior center had their stuff going on down there too, and rec did a ton of work to get everything set up, and so it was just great. Those are great type of events. We love having it. And then I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Bob Berger. So he really stayed on top of the sign language interpreters to make sure that we had the town meeting. It was great to see it, and it really is a lot of work to get on the schedule and stay on the schedule. And he was dogged in his determination to make sure that we had people at town meetings. So I think that was really great too. Did it change? Mm-hmm. Oh, I have the same slide. Complete Streets, I've mentioned this every time, and we're not going to have anything for a little bit, but I'm going to leave it on here. The Public Employee Committee, so we are meeting on the 4th. We did draft an RFP and go out to solicit bids on our health insurance. Again, Grafton has a pretty unfavorable loss ratio, so I'm going to guess that if we wind up around 8% increase, that's actually probably decent for us, which is not great. ARPA committee, we're meeting on the 7th. We've been continuing to look at mental health stuff. We also have some other initiatives that people have proposed and some other thoughts. So, we'll come back to you after that meeting. And then, is that it? Or did I have one more? I have one more. Our Office 365 never ending project. I pushed that implementation off until November, the end of November. It's been too chaotic and I have too many other things tech wise going on, and it's just going to confuse our staff. So I just delayed it one more month. Regional dispatch, we've sent our letter of engagement, and from here on out, it's going to be fits and starts. So you won't hear anything about regional dispatch for 2 months, and then we'll have, this is happening, and then nothing for so I don't want you to think that that's gone by the wayside. It's still something that we continue to work on, but it's just going to be, fits and starts like it says. And then municipal center upgrades. I think we'll start to see movement in the next couple weeks on that door on this end of the building. Everything's in place. We're just waiting for materials to come in, and then that project will start. Senior center TV room upgrade. They made some made some really good progress on that, and I've heard some really good feedback about what the seniors think about having new space and what we can do in that space and modernizing it, and so that's going to be really cool. And then the assessor's window, we got our earmark information. We just have to finish doing some background paperwork, and then that'll go out to bid, and that'll be the next customer service window installed, which will be great.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right, any questions or comments?
I just have one. Can the opera committee look into using some of that money for fuel assistance?
Oh, so let me update the board on another thing I have going on. That's a great point. I asked Fogey, the Friends of Grafton Elders, for a $20,000 earmark for fuel assistance. And if regardless, I'm probably going to also approach the finance committee with their reserve fund for some money.
Good.
Too. I think we're going to be facing a very difficult winter. We have SMOC that we can help people attain fuel assistance, but I think that it's not going to go far enough with what we're projected to see in fuel costs.
Yep.
So I'm hopeful that I think the Friends of Grafton Elders meet on the 9th. I'm hopeful that they approve the request that I have made. And I think FinCom will react favorably to the ask. I think that would give us a pot of money around $40,000 to draw down on and then see where we wind up.
Good.
So,
For bringing that
Yep.
up.
yeah. Thank you for reminding me. It was something I wanted to put on here that I had made that request. And if not, then Ray, yeah, I think we're going to look for an alternative source. I think that regardless of what pot we actually wind up getting the money from, we know that need's going to be there, and it's going to be, totally different than it's been in years past.
Yep.
In recent memory, anyways. So.
Any update on the website?
Yep, so we had a conversation with Civic Plus last week, I want to say. Our tentative cutover date is November 22nd for the new site to go live. So they are cleaning some stuff up on the back end. We are starting to move the stuff over that we need to, so that way it's populated and not just an empty shell when we cut over.
Thanks.
And we did push that date back a little bit based on feedback we received from people beta testing it and making changes, and it's just not gonna. We want to incorporate that feedback and not, launch it prematurely. So we did push it back a little bit. Yep.
All right. On to correspondence. Does anybody have any correspondence they want to discuss? Okay, moving on. Ooh,
You missed resignations.
I
Right.
am about to go to
No.
this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Correspondence.
I'm gonna hold her up.
I'm not even looking at it.
It's okay.
I didn't understand why a couple of the correspondence looked like they were from April of this year. I think there was one for sale of 4 Canton Court and one for both Wyman and Providence Upton Railroad.
I'm going
look at another
to guess that is an error and got put in there by accident, but I will double check.
Okay.
I didn't even look at the top right corner of either of those. So good catch, Andy.
There was also one for occupancy permit for 4 Gordon Circle.
Yep.
I don't remember if we had any replies to that, but I just wanted to make sure somebody had
Yes.
reached out to her.
Yes. I'm trying to get to it now just to jog my memory.
The
that
building
one.
inspector had said there was some work done that hadn't been permitted.
Oh, at the
With,
condo?
Yes.
Yeah, part of it was roofing, and the other part I think was a basement
Basement,
expansion.
right. So
Yeah.
basements are currently an issue for us. Well, not for us, for everyone. So the electrical code has changed, and basically, if you've done work without a permit and the walls are closed, then you need to open the walls up and show us what you did inside those walls. That's what the new code suggests or states that we need to do. That causes, financial hardship for a lot of people. I'm not saying that we weigh finance over safety, but it's a hard thing to do. And so what we're currently faced with is trying to identify those finished basements and things that weren't permitted, and then catch them before they're sold to a new party, so that it's not the new homeowner's instant headache, right? I mean, they've inherited something, they didn't have anything to do with that. So we are currently working with the back and forth. I did send that off to the building department and asked for a resolve, and I don't have an answer for you currently. So I will follow up on that, and then when we meet again, I will update you on what we did with that.
That's cool, as long as it's on your radar. Just
Oh, it is.
checking in.
We forwarded it over. I just don't think I have a resolve yet.
Thank you.
All right, any other correspondence? Okay, we have a resignation for our town planner, Chris McGoldrick.
I move the board vote to acknowledge and accept the resignation of Chris McGoldrick from the position of town planner.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried. And we also have a resignation from the bylaw study committee.
I move the board vote to acknowledge and accept the resignation of Ray Mead from the bylaw study committee.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried. Does anybody want to jump on the bylaw study committee?
Considering it.
Can you consider it in the next 30 seconds?
How far along is it? Like, where are you in the process?
It's just they're up to getting all of the feedback
Yeah.
from boards and committees.
So pretty early.
Yeah, it's not due until May 2024 town meeting.
I'll make a motion.
I mean 23. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not 24. Jeez.
I was gonna say, it's a long commitment.
Long meeting.
And
It's all
fall,
yours.
I think, not May, right?
No, it's
Fall-
May.
Fall 2023.
That could be. I
Cool.
don't pay attention.
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Andy Jefferson to as a select board rep on the bylaw study committee.
Second.
Okay, good. Thank you, Andy. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Thank you, Andy. All those in favor?
Aye. Thanks, Andy.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried.
Thanks.
And maybe this turns into a committee where we take turns if it gets too much and we can trade off, okay?
Well, I just my
Your turn's over, we know.
no.
Okay.
Well, my turn is over. Yes, my social calendar has just gone crazy. So I just
Good for you. All right, public, do we have anybody here for public comment on Zoom? There's nobody in the room.
I don't know. I don't know if this is out of order, but
it probably is if you start off with that.
probably. I just wanted to know if we could discuss the resignation of Mr. McGoldrick quickly, and
Yeah.
if we have any plans for moving forward without him.
Yep, so we have an interim planner that met with Chris on Monday. So we're working towards that. That person will start at about 10 hours a week just to keep things stable. But we do have interviews starting this week with applicants for both the staff planner position and the town planner position simultaneously. So
How many are we looking at?
2 and 2
2 and 2.
currently, but it's only been active for
A week.
a week. So we're hopeful, and they're qualified applicants so
Good.
far, so that's good.
Perfect. All right. And there's nobody on Zoom for public comment?
Can I back up for 1 second if there's nobody?
Nope, nobody with their hand
So,
raised.
Andy, just to go back to your Mahoney email and correspondence, I couldn't recall it because that was the email that came through It's actually not supposed to be board correspondence. If you look at it, it's CC'd to me. And what was happening with the old email is if someone emailed the town administrator, it went to the select board. And so we've changed that, not so that you don't see things, but because some people are sending things to the town administrator's office that don't it's a public record, but they don't want it to be in correspondence. So, I didn't recall that it got in there. So, same answer applies. I will get you the answer. And, I did send it off and say, what are we doing for this person? But that's why I didn't know it was I didn't catch it in the packet. So that's where my confusion was. So I apologize.
No worries. One last thing before we wrap too, just because we passed over Harvey Kimsey for the Tufts Institutional Biosafety Committee again tonight. Has anybody had any positive confirmation that because this is, I believe, the second time this appointment has come up. Have we heard any correspondence back from him?
No, not that I'm aware of. We will double check with Amber tomorrow morning, and then if they're not interested, we'll get them off of the list.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's it for me. No more interruptions.
It's not an interruption.
I
You're
don't know
fine.
if this is out of order.
It's
but
public comment. You can say whatever you want. You're good. All right. If nobody else has public comment, then we'll move on to meeting minutes. And looks like we have 2 sets of meeting minutes.
Yes. I move the board vote to approve the meeting minutes for October 11 and October 17 of 2022 as written.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried. All right, so we do have a reason to go into executive session tonight to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiation with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, as well as to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares we move into executive session. Can I have a motion to that effect?
Second.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All right. Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried, and we will come back in a open public session just to adjourn the meeting. So good night, everybody.